it's really interesting to live a life that's in the fast lane, and the things that come along with that are just consistently taking action and moving forward. And one thing that's really interesting is whether or not while we're in that fast lane, we're actually taking the time to show up or giving ourselves the permission to show up as fully as we can. Today, I am joined by someone who has reminded me of this one concept. It's almost Little John has a song. It's called "Turn Down for What," and I hear that song and I think of this person because he reminds me of how much more of me I can turn up in any moment, how much more of me I can give, and how much is never too loud, never too much, and we continue to grow from there. So with that here, I am really thrilled to just start today's conversation, and I can feel myself like just wanted to just spend the time with you. So we have April Cunningham here with us today, and April, I would love to just invite you to come be in this space with us here. And as you're here, my ask of you is to be as selfish as you need to be as turned up as you'd like to be, and to really just allow ourselves to just play in the way that the two of us do. It's great to have you here. Thank you for
It's
letting
great
me
to be
serve you.
here. Thank you for that invitation.
Hmm. So I'm going to invite you here, April. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about your inner journey. We're going to spend in time seeing where are you at right now in your journey and how we can help you move forward. I'd love to just spend some time actually slowing down first and almost seeing what like your outer journey is, the things that most people see, the highlight reel of some of your accomplishments. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are from that perspective?
Highlight reel, what comes up for me. I left technology in 2018. I was a software developer for about 18 years. And it just really wasn't serving me. It wasn't in alignment. I hated it, although I was considered successful in terms of outer metric. It seemed pretty successful. Um, and as a woman and as a woman of color, it was a very safe job because I always had a job. There's not very many like me who actually can code. So that was a huge blast of my outer journey, so to speak. And when I say blast, I mean like I busted a hole in a ceiling that I hadn't realized was a ceiling for me until um, 2017. So that was huge. A lot of people. I quit my job. I started coaching. I launched a second business, two businesses at one time. Nemo, why go just do one? Let's just do both. I mean, my mentor said to me, one of these is going to go faster than the other, and I was like, yeah, but I have to do both though. I just know I have to do both. So I launched a coaching business, and then I also launched a healthy habit change consultancy called The Jealous Vegan, and we partner and help people eat more plants and without all the judgment and all the other stuff. We just released episode 52, and we have seen our highest record of downloads in November, which I was super proud of. And people regularly pop into our inbox and say, hey, can we partner with you? Which is amazing because we built it as a pet project for ourselves. I say we because I did it with a team, building it with a team. Um, and people regularly come up to me and say, hey, I listened to your podcast. And I'm just like, people I don't know. So in terms of outer journey, it's like, oh, you're doing something at 52 episodes and people want to, I listen to your podcast and here's what I have to say about it. Or how can you help me? And I mean, I think that's stinking amazing. Alternatively, I also have built this audience on Facebook and on Instagram where people come up to me and they say, hey, oh, I know you. A woman said to me in the grocery store, she said, I know you. You're the coach from Instagram. And I was just like, well, I'm one coach on Instagram. She's like, yeah, no, I follow you. So that's super freaky. Like I didn't know her. But it also spoke to, I've done a lot of deep work to show up, not just online, but as a person in terms of like turn down for what. It has been a tremendously hypnotic and heady journey to turn fully up to who I am. And these are these outer outer metrics, if you will, that I'm being seen authentically. So there's that, and then there's the outer metric. You and I've talked many times where I got divorced, and that was traumatic. And so here I am, 3 years later, and I'm dating. So that's outer metric. And let's see what else. I don't know. I feel like that's enough for me. It's been a tremendous thrill ride, and also the scariest journey I've probably ever done. And I'm here.
Yeah, I really recognize that. I really acknowledge you for that, April. Like you, when you decided to turn up, you went all in, and it's quite phenomenal to have seen your journey, to like be a part of it and be like alongside it, from my place. And like I will say, you're one of the people that, as I'm continuing on my journey, I keep looking out. I'm like, okay, great. There's still other places to go. There's still uncharted territory, and there's there like I just really respect you in that. So I'm happy we have this time here together here.
Thank you, and likewise.
Mm. So, April, let's play then. Like, what we get to do here is, while all that's going on, there's still a lot going on for us inside. So, what would really make this an incredible conversation for you?
Yes, I've given this thought, and I've come to, I've done a lot of scary stuff in the last 2 years, and stuff people look at me and they're just. I notice that people are some jealous, but mostly like they think of me as something they can never be. I can never be on Instagram. I can never be do this. I can never, and it's just not true. Um, but I find that I'm in a place right now where I am looking for my next edge. All this stuff was super edgy. Going live was super edgy. I mean, I thought I was going to die hitting the play button. And now people are just like, I love your videos. This is awesome. I could never do that. And I'm like, it's easy, boss. Just hit the play button. It's fine. Embrace the imperfection. It's cool. But I can say that now after the fact, right? And so all these things that I've done, quitting a safe job and choosing to be an entrepreneur for the first time in my life, and it never would have occurred to me to do that before. Okay, I've done it. I built a coaching business. I have clients. I have a group coaching program. I have, these other things. I am dating again, which was the last frontier for me of like, okay, you need to let some stuff go and you need to choose to play in a vulnerable place. And dating for me was that last one. So I'm like, okay, well, what else is left for me to, what else is left? Where's the edge? And I feel a little bit vulnerable saying that, like, not to brag, but for me, I've slayed all the edge, and it was known for me at the time. Now, I want to find the edge again.
Awesome. I really like. I acknowledge you for all this here. When you slayed that edge, all the edges that were known for you. All right, how did it feel?
I mean, the beginning is scary. You think you're gonna die.
At the end, how did it feel at the end?
Searching for the truest word or feeling. I felt free. Yeah, I felt like truly free.
And how have you celebrated that freedom?
Celebrate? What's that?
I was like, yeah. So There's so yeah, that's let's start there. Like I am so tempted to just go with you into like what's the next edge, what's the next level, all that. And as I'm hearing this here, it's like you have done some really scary things. You have it such that like people are walking up and they're like, I know you. I tell you the truth, I have experienced that, especially with my actuary days, where people are where I would get on the phone and like, I'm finally talking to you. I can't believe it's so real. It's like, nah, I'm just a person, you know. Like, let's just keep moving. I get some of that there, and I want to go back to this element of celebration because I feel like we can like before we take on the next edge, I want to make sure that's worth it for you. I want to make sure that you actually feel what it is that you set out to do here.
Mm,
So let's start before trying to like figure out if it's worth it for us and all that stuff. I think there may be some work to be done with what you've already accomplished. I mean, April, since 2017, like to give up a stable, safe role as a software engineer and being a black woman, there's also additional job security because there's not that much, like there's not that many other people that are in there. And people are like, you to give that up to start two businesses simultaneously and know that because you're like, I just need to. And to be in a position where in 2 years later you're seeing more downloads than you've seen in the past. You have people coming up to you and you're having partnerships and being reached out to and having collaborations that are taking place. That in your other business, you have your coaching clients, you have your group coaching programs in place. Like there's and on top of all that, you're back into the dating world and you're and allowing like love to blossom in different ways as well. You know, like that's tremendous. And I just want to just like really just take some time before we go any further to just like really like acknowledge you for who you've like had to be and who you become to make this come to life. Yeah. Like kudos to you for what you've accomplished.
thank you. Mm. It's thank you, and it's hard to receive because much like the women I coach or the people that I coach, it's like, yeah, 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 I did it. What's next? So thank you. And I'm surfacing that there's also a sense of like, yeah, okay, well,
Yeah, I like April. It's so interesting because it's like I want to zoom on with you. I want to zoom on with you there, and we will. Like I'm not leaving that out here, but I do want
well,
to like this makes because what I don't want to do is to have you get to help you do a new edge, and you get to that, and you're like, okay, yeah, okay, what's next? Okay, like, and we're just constantly doing that there. So if there was like one way that you can like honor the parts of celebration because you've gone through a cycle with this year. Like what I'm hearing is that you're ready to leave, go on to your next level. You
yeah,
know, the other parts of this year, and part of the reason why I'm saying this is that if we're really going to find your edge, typically when we play a next level game where we're finding what else is scary for us or we're moving, it requires energy. It requires
yeah,
energy, and if it looks like it's going to be like another like it's going to be a lot of work. There's a lot of work that needs to get in there. Like we're not. I want to make sure that you also are filled with the energy that's necessary to actually take on something much larger than what it is that you're doing right here, right?
right,
And
right.
so we don't need to come to it in this conversation, but there's an element here around like, I see you thinking, so I'm gonna let that, I'm gonna stop for a little bit.
Yeah, no, what you're saying is resonating. Like, there was tremendous buildup in my energy, and really before I did all that, like everything I did in 2017 was an expression, really a release of everything that I'd already been wanting to do, but not realizing it and not being able to release it. So I hear you that, okay, I released all that tension. There needs to be a celebration, a recognition. And then I am having that sense of like, get still and know that there may need to be a buildup. Um, but of course, so it's resonating. It's definitely resonating. In terms of celebration, I mean, it's really hard for me to it's really hard for me to think about what that is, believe it or not. I mean, when I left my job, I went to Europe, and that was a milestone for me because it was like I never done that. I'd never been to some of the places I went, and I went for 3 weeks and just got lost, and it was amazing. But it doesn't quite feel like that's what's next for me here. Like there's more traveling I could do. Yeah, but that's going to happen anyway. So I don't know.
If there was one thing that you could give yourself that would feel completely frivolous and selfish and just completely just about you there, or just like you would almost feel guilty telling any single other soul on this planet that you did. You don't need to say it out loud here. Well, what would that thing be?
I'm going to think out loud for a moment.
Yeah, please.
Uh, Normally, what I love beautiful things, typically Italian.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing that comes up for me is like, oh yeah, I buy myself a handbag. But I don't really need that.
It's not about what you need. It's not about what you need. You have the last 2 years. You have been doing what you need to get done. You've been doing what the business needs. You've been doing all that stuff. This is about your wants and desires and celebration, just for a bit, because you're about to go into your next level.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time. This is a culmination. This is a Italian handbags, like beautiful things, beautiful things.
Sounds
Yes.
frivolous. Yes, it's definitely a guilty
Yeah.
pleasure of mine.
Yeah.
But as I say it, like yes, that's kind of even as I say it, I feel like that's kind of the old me
Mm-hmm.
that would have used a beautiful Italian thing as a
Mm-hmm.
source of as a reward, and it doesn't feel in integrity with who I am today.
Yep. Yep.
So it feels like there's something else, and
You said you want to talk out loud, so go ahead. What else?
artwork. I've been eyeing some beautiful artwork. I'm redecorating my place right now. Um, but I'm trying to think of something that would, I want something decadent that is not just, it's not decadent materially, it's decadent for my soul.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Something that feels as nourishing as getting lost in Europe. I mean,
Yeah.
I felt like a butterfly
Mm.
when
Yeah.
I was
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna go with two ways. Like, let's take this here. I don't want you to have to like come up with that answer right now. I think like
there.
this is it's a wonderful question to like
Mm-hmm.
continue to explore. Like, what would be that decadent thing that is nourishing for my soul, that where I can feel like a butterfly? It gives you the feeling of Europe. Like allow that question to sit for a bit.
Okay.
What's going on through your mind right now?
I was thinking about a moment that I had in Europe on my own. Went into a place. I was in Italy. I was in Florence, and um, I went into a restaurant and I sat in the window in the middle of the day and had the most amazing food. And uh, amazingly, there was no one in there but me for some reason. And it was that moment. It was a feeling of like I owned it all. Like I owned the world. I was captain of my own destiny, and didn't need another human being to be in that place and to feel really good about that place. Um, so I was, I don't know, for some reason, that's what came up for me. That moment of sitting there with my roast. What was I having? Oh, I had a white wine. Um, and I was just absolutely content in that moment, or really in the afternoon. I sat there for a while. Um, there was a really just a sense of knowing who I am and that everything was okay. That I had everything I needed. Um, to know. It's just a deep sense of knowing. Yes, you are on your path, and I really like having found my path now. Um, I'm like, okay, now what? Um,
So before we go into the now what, let's let and we will like I'm comfortable going there with you because I think you'll continue to do the work. This doesn't seem like a question that like if you answer in the next 5 minutes, like it would even really be the true answer that you're looking for. I think this is something to continue to allow yourself to evolve
that's
into.
cool. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like
You're good.
say now what. I was just that
You're good.
I'm like, what, that feeling that I had
Yep.
from that afternoon. I'm like, what would give me? That's
Yeah.
the feeling that came up, and I was
That's
like, what would give
that's
me that?
that's really again another fun question to be living into right here, right? That's the because what I get here because is it's the element here of like, okay, you've gotten all this here, and if you were looking for something that all this work that you were supposed to that over the last 2 years were supposed to give you, you know, and you haven't, and now you're thinking it might be in the next edge that you take on, then you might miss that same thing that you're looking for, and it feels like you had it in Europe, and there's a freedom there that you've had. There's also a sense of own, like I own this place, and there's it means it's like you know what that sensation is, right? I know that you're giving words
Yeah,
to it, but it's
exactly.
beyond that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I think for me, what as I'm listening here, it's to make sure that we get in alignment with that first and foremost as we look at what that next level is for you, that next edge is for you.
yeah, yeah. That feels right.
Yeah, yeah. So I would play with that. Like there's the thing in my mind was at first I was like, oh, let's go down like a what scares you list because you did all the things that were scary, and I'm like, oh, that might have been what is like if we do anything else that just feels scary to you, for with that just being like the impetus to get it done, that might be exactly keeping you in the same level that you're doing. It will look like next steps. You'll have other things associated with it, and you'll have more. But I think you'll have more of what you already have, even though there's a lot more things that are, even though it's coming in different ways.
So I love that you just said that because it a light bulb went off. Like, oh, um, my previous definition of edge was fear. What do I what do I fear? And I don't think that that definition still applies as a ruler or as a yardstick, so to speak, of like this is your metric for how you know you're in the edge is that you're afraid. Maybe there's something else here that there's a different definition of edge, um, and fear is not it anymore. And it feels that feels true because there isn't really much that I fear. You know, and that isn't. I'm human, so I do have anxiety about you know public speaking and such, but I don't really fear it. Like I know if I'm prepared, I'm going to go and I'm going to serve. So it's not a true fear. It's just like I don't know, normal nerves, I guess you could say, but it's not
Yeah.
the same.
I get the sense that like how to like over the last 2 years you've learned how to deal with fear, how to embrace fear, how to like let you like, oh, there's fear here. Great. I'm gonna be prepared. I'm gonna do this stuff. Like when fear shows up, you have like a process now that works for you to help you like be with the fear and continue to move forward.
Right.
Right. So
Right. So then it begs the question of like, okay, well, what's the new metric? I mean, I actually didn't, I don't think I realized that. So thank you that
mhm.
maybe fear is not the metric. The whole evaluation of what is my edge is not, the cheese is moved, so to speak. It's not the same.
To me it's like it's the concept of like fear as a compass. Like it's no longer fear is no longer pointing true north. You've gotten to the top of the summit using to one summit using the fear as your compass, and that was your north for a while. And for where you're going now, it's like it's almost like you're at like one magnetic pole, and it's just like it's not
Mm.
giving you any new information.
Okay, so this is interesting because as I'm dating, I'm noticing that um, it's hard for me to be honest if I think I'm going to hurt someone. And I think, for example, there's someone in my life right now, and I, I don't. I'm afraid that he's going to like me more than I like him, and I won't want to hurt him, so I may stay longer. And I remember I have my personality profile is such that I'm a defender of other people. And sometimes I defend people who don't need to be defended or who don't want to be defended, but I just feel like I need to save you from yourself. I have a bit of a savior complex, that's for sure. And it's part of my dark side. So I recognize it. And in this new space of dating, I'm recognizing, oh, I'm trying to, what it does, there's nothing wrong with defending other people, but what it does is in my head, it makes me responsible for their feelings. Like, and without knowing what their feelings are going to be or what they're going to do, but just feeling like I need to protect you from yourself when that's in my head and not necessarily actual. And it comes from a deep place of harm no humans. That's like my policy. Animals either for that matter, but harm no humans sounds better. So as you're talking, and fear is no longer my compass. I think that where I'm challenged is radical honesty, where someone might not like the decision I made or how I'm showing up or um, that I'm a no to something that maybe we both wanted at first. Um, and and maybe it's that radical honesty. Maybe honesty is now my compass. Like I need to be able to be honest in the presence of my own dark side, so to speak, of let's notice that you're trying to protect an adult who doesn't need your protection. And that's not to say don't try to, don't use tact or, lead with tact and love and kindness, all those things, and still find a way to be honest with another human.
There's a question that comes up for me on this. Do you mind if I explore this with you?
Please.
Okay. The question for me is how does protecting another human keep you safe?
I'm about to get vulnerable right now, Nemo. But okay. So it does two things. It allows me to not be messy um, emotionally. And uh, one of my coaches described me as the heartbroken Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, where I'm just like, off with your head, off with your head. And that's very characteristic of me. Like I have a very low tolerance for crazy, and I'm just gonna like, I'm typically an alpha, and I'm definitely an assertive. So I end up being the one that's like, you know what? Yeah. So here's what we're gonna do here. And in the past, it's been all on or all off. I've learned as a coach that there's variance, there's range. So it doesn't have to be all one thing or all the other thing, but there is still very much strongly a sense of I'm going to protect me from your messiness, and I'm going to protect you from uh, my messiness, uh, especially in the realm of dating. Um, I'm dating a man, and men make women messy. You could probably say the other way around, but I'm gonna speak for myself, my own journey. Um, and I don't like to get pulled into people's mess. I'm very much so like, okay, I can help you. I will throw you a lifeline, but I'm not going to get in it with you. And there's a place for that, and there's a time for that. And certainly as a coach, that's where I need to be. But as a, not but. And there's a space for me to be messy, and that's the place where I don't play there often. Um, it hasn't been safe for me to play there, and it does not put me in the power place, which is where I prefer to stand. Um, and I say that in spite of all the work that I've done in vulnerability wise. I'm happy being vulnerable, not happy, but I'm less afraid of being vulnerable. Yes, I can tell you, and at the same time, but not messy though. Let's piece it together. Let's put together our action plan. Okay, let's acknowledge our feelings. Cool, all this coaching stuff. Let's acknowledge our feelings. Let's talk about where you are right now. Okay, and what do you want next, right? So, I say that though, and I think I'm protecting this other person from my mess, and I'm protecting myself from their mess.
Yeah, there's as you say, there's a couple different things here that come up for me where it's just like I can feel like there's like a responsibility that's associated with it. Responsibility this year has shown up as a word for me a lot, and it's like a responsibility for myself and others, which also seems to go against that feeling of like freedom that you're describing, where you're like I just feel free, like freedom's one of my values. So whenever I hear it come up, I'm like, that's something that I know, and I'm gonna like put this out there. Like, I want to protect that for others. I'm like, oh, you have the freedom. How do we keep that going? Um, yeah, it's one of the bigger things that came up for me was in the last in September happened in October. It was realizing that I had been going out of my way to make other people feel safe around me because and this like my story was as an African American male, if I don't make you feel safe, you're going to feel intimidated or you're going to get scared or you're going to do something stupid and you're going to like call on an authority and it puts me in a life or death situation really quickly, right? And it was really interesting to see just how much like I'm great at creating safety for others. Like I can create safe zones very, very quickly because it's something I felt like I needed to do. And in the spirit of like the honesty part there that you were talking about, I, it being able to let go of having to make other people safe.
Hmm.
The honesty just came with it. But I have to say, like, it seems like one thing on the surface, but it's like, in order for me to be safe, I need to make other people safe. That's how I felt. And now I've been like exploring different ways of finding new ways of being safe. The question that comes to my mind for you right now is almost like, how can I'll use the word messy. I'm not sure if it's the right word, but let's use it for now. How can being messy make you even safer and even more powerful?
Yeah, I don't know, because it doesn't feel safe at all to be messy. I recognize it now when I didn't before, but I have a real shame trigger around women who are messy, specifically women who are messy. I don't. So,
And let's like we can leave it at that for now, all right? Because what I don't want to do is like go out and be like, now you have to be messy. It's not about that. I think like the with you, April, it's like if we can shine a light on it, then you get a chance to see it and decide how you want to be with that. Is it something like, and you know how to, you know, the same way that you learned how to be like how to deal with your fears and to have a process with that. You know, like nowadays I'm a lot like I have my messy thing. When I feel like things get messy, typically it's a thing that I'm trying to hide. And so I'll go on Facebook Live and immediately like just start. I'm like, this is the thing I'm hiding. Like this, like I'll immediately start with that, and my messiness I'm able to play with from the standpoint of, um, my process would be to announce it to the world, to be vulnerable in that messiness, and like the thing that I am trying to make sure no one else sees, like like it is seen. And then I have another part of it, which is to go on like it seems odd, but it's like to almost go in overdrive because otherwise I spend a lot of time slowing down and trying to pick the perfect moments to be messy. It's part of the reason
mm,
why I'm gonna do 100 like coaching podcast conversations. You know, it's easier for me to be doing this than to do once a week because I would get all up in my head and I'll let everything else comes in. So there's this element of like I know how to play with messiness for me a little bit. Like I literally dance and I also practice gratitude in the middle of it because when I my heart starts to beat, you know. And there's a part of me that's like the same way that you found a path and a methodology for dealing with fear. There could be, and I'm not sure, like I don't know if this is your next level or anything like that, your next edge, but there could be something in there for you around the messiness part that continues to open up more doors and give you more ownership and more freedom, uh, long term. What are your thoughts on that? Actually, take some time with that first, and then let me know what comes to mind.
yeah, no, it definitely. Okay, radical honesty. That's not what I want to hear. I don't want to hear that. I want to go out and slay some more dragons that are externally facing. I don't actually. I don't want to be messy. I don't like people who are messy. They get on my nerves. And I'm just, radical honesty. But and it resonates that. I mean, just this week, in the dating context, I was swirling about, how to handle a certain thing, um, without it being messy, and I didn't have the words for it because I was too busy swirling of like, I'm gonna manage this thing, save this person from what I have to say. And yeah, I mean, it was an exercise in me trying to manage the messiness. And even as we're talking about it, I'm just like, I know, no, no, listen. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate your honesty, your radical honesty there. Yeah, it's interesting because like I what I think is to have another conversation we can play like now that this is at least we've surfaced this I feel more comfortable going on the next level game with you, but I didn't want to get there with it being slightly out of alignment, you know, or more out of like because you would like we would have had this same conversation, we wouldn't have gotten to where it is. There's a part of what you're saying that feels like your edge is not in business right now. Your edge right at in this current moment, and it might only be for a week, but in this current moment feels like it's in the relationship and in the dating world and how you're showing up there.
Yeah, I concur. I think that hurt my heart for you to say it. So
You're
I think
welcome.
that's true. Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to play here though, so I'm noticing the resistance too.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like just kind of release right now. There's no resolution that we need to get to. Like this tension is actually a thing. But here's what I know about you, April. Like you're someone who knows how to take on difficult things. You're someone who like you're someone who is willing to figure out how to make it come to life here, and you can see it. You can see it. There's an element of this year. Let's say this. There's a part of me that feels that even if you allowed yourself to be as messy as you, beyond messy, beyond like the messiest you would ever dare yourself to be, people would still think that it was like nice wrapped up. They're like, wow, how did you do this? Like this came to life, that happened here. Like, like they're like, how did you do that? You're like, well, you just gotta, I don't know, I was just messy for a while, and then I just got like, I just cleaned up the act. It was really cool. But like, the same way that they look like, and I think you're laughing because you know it's true.
It's so true.
I like it's almost like if and it's like the invitation is like I would love to like have our next conversation and actually hear how many people said you were like, yo man, you're really messy right now, you know. And I have a feeling that'll be you'd be really hard pressed. Yeah, your head's shaking right now.
I, yeah, just okay. Sorry.
No, you don't need to apologize. What's going on?
It started spinning. Like, no, no, no. You don't understand. I can't do it.
Yeah. I get you, and you don't need to, right? You don't need to, but there's a sense of me that that it's like I don't think you talked about like I see this as my dark side. I don't think you've done like you're aware of what is the gift that's in the dark side, the light of the dark side. We talk about the dark side of the light. What is your gift and what's the dark side of that? But then there's a light within that dark side. And I don't think you're really aware of what that is just yet for you.
Hmm. Hmm. That makes sense. Well, that's a fun place to play. If I choose to accept, I'm not.
If
I'm
yeah,
still, I'm still in
that's
resistance.
like yeah, like let it be there. Let it be there. I'm not here. This is my thing. I'm not here to protect you. It would be a lot safer for me to like take you down the path that I want to go play, which is like what's coming next and how do we turn that off and where does it go from there and what's your larger mission and how can we make it like that's I love that kind of stuff, you
Hmm.
know. But that's like let's see where it comes out of this year. The main thing is just to shake up some things, both in the mind and inside. Right.
Okay, I
And then let's
appreciate that.
definitely let's talk again in a little bit, like a couple of weeks, and then like we might be at a place where it's like, yeah, let's go look into whatever that edge is or whatever else comes out from there. But I think that even if you allowed yourself to be really messy, I think you'd be really hard pressed to find anyone that would actually outwardly say it or even express it. I had this thing where I thought I was too much, and I was like, oh, everyone's gonna think I'm too much and all that. I turned into a game, and it was like it was the challenge was the game was I got a point every time I could make someone like their eyes go up or they move back or whatever it was, right? Anything that would outwardly show that this person thinks I'm too much, right? That was one point if that happened. I then gave myself 3 points if when they said it, I then responded to them and I was just like, in a place of acceptance. It's like, thank you. I like, yes, I get it. This is it, a place of acceptance. But the reason I played this game is because I really wanted to change my relationship with it altogether. And I wanted to get to the place where I'm like, this is something I feel really like, I feel bad about, but it might be one of my greatest strengths. And so I gave myself, it still makes me laugh when I think about it. I gave myself 7 points. So it was like really worth it. Whenever I would go and I would say, you're welcome. So if they're like if they give me any indication of like too muchness, I was like, yep, I just got to say this right now. And and again, the way I play messy is I'm very open, right? I'm very truthful, and it's like I just say now I'm playing this game right now. That anytime someone gets feels like I'm too much or does something like this, I just go and I let them know that you're welcome because one day this is my gift to you. One day you might need this. Like there was all this stuff that came along with it.
I
Uh,
love it.
but it's just like it was like, hey, it was harder than I thought it would be to get those first initial like to even enter the game. To get myself that 1 point was harder than I thought it would be, you know?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, then it made like those 7 pointers. I'm like, I need to take advantage of this opportunity because I don't know the next time someone's going to actually respond that way. It gave me a chance to see like actually people feel energized by me being too much. People feel more spacious when I'm going for it all. Same way like with you, people are like, wow, I could never do that, but they're thinking about doing it now. Like there's something there that, and one day they may be like, yeah, I could do it. So I'm gonna put all this out there to say like nothing needs to get done, but there may be some fun places to play for yourself with this year.
Thank you. I'm going to spin on that and meditate, journal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I welcome the invitation to talk in a few weeks.
Okay. So let's do that there. We'll schedule another time and then we'll just keep going. Okay. All
Yeah. Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you.
Likewise.
Mm. April, we'll talk again soon. I'm going to make a quick address to everyone out here right now. All right.
Okay.
All right. To letting ourselves be able to play once again and to not necessarily know where we are or where we need to be, but instead to allow the moment itself to have its own movement. That's the game that we're playing right here. Take some time for yourself here. For me, the game I had to play was a too much game. It was a part of me that couldn't be seen. What part of you along your journey is something that also may not have its space? And how can you find the light that's in the dark side of that to help you start seeing new paths that may not seem available right now? I'm really looking forward to continuing the conversation. If you're interested in like really slowing down with me, go to niyamashang.com/tribe and see some of the resources we have to help support you on your journey. Be more you every day. Until later on. Hey, Niyama here. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and then go ahead and leave one of your insights from today's video in the comments below. If you're looking to take this deeper, you can go and watch another video, or you can go to niyama.com/tribe to get exclusive invitation to our tribe member only events. I'll see you soon.